Own your power, not just as a phrase, not just as an Instagram caption, but as a lived truth, every single day, the kind of truth you carry in your walk, in your words, and most importantly, in your silence. Too often, we've been taught to look for power outside ourselves, in titles, in relationships, in validation, but real power, the kind that moves mountains and confuses those who underestimated you, that's already inside you. It doesn't show up when someone gives you permission to feel strong. It shows up the moment you decide to stop asking for it. There's something magnetic about a woman who realizes she doesn't need to be rescued. She's not sitting by the window waiting for a knock on the door. She's out there building her empire, writing her story with bold strokes, daring to take up space. And it's not about being loud or aggressive. It's about being grounded. Grounded in your worth, your values, your voice, because power isn't about controlling others. It's about knowing no one else controls you. Not your past, not your pain, not even the ones who walked away thinking they left you broken. There will always be people who try to dim your light, who will take your kindness for weakness, your forgiveness for foolishness. Let them. That's not your concern. Your concern is staying connected to that fire inside you. That quiet, steady fire that reminds you, no matter what's happening around you, you are the storm, not the wreckage. You are the author, not the footnote. And even on your worst day, you are not defined by how someone else failed to see your value. Their blindness is not your burden. Power looks different on everyone. For some, it's walking away without looking back. For others, it's choosing to love again, even when the world told them to harden. It's in setting boundaries without guilt, in saying no, even when you were raised to be agreeable. It's in showing up over and over for yourself, not perfectly, not always gracefully, but consistently. Because owning your power doesn't mean you're invincible, it means you're done pretending you're not. When you start owning your power, something magical happens. People can feel it before you speak. They see it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you smile, not for attention, but because you genuinely like the woman looking back at you in the mirror. And that right there is untouchable. It can't be faked. It can't be taken away because it's not coming from anyone else. It's coming from you. They might expect tears, they might expect rage, but when you show up calm, collected, unshaken, that's the confusion. That's the flex. Not because you don't feel, but because you've mastered the art of choosing what deserves your energy. And when you realize your peace is the most powerful form of revenge, you stop handing it out like it's cheap. You guard it, you treasure it, you protect it from anyone who comes with chaos dressed as care. So don't shrink, don't dim, don't play small to make others comfortable. Your power was never meant to be hidden. It was meant to be lived loudly or quietly, but always proudly. Whether you're walking into a boardroom, a breakup, or a brand new beginning, walk in knowing you belong, not because someone told you so, but because you decided you do. And if someone hurt you, disappointed you, tried to make you forget who you are, don't lose sleep over it. Rise, evolve, and let your power speak the language they never learned to understand. Because the most beautiful, unstoppable thing in this world is a woman who finally stopped asking for permission and started writing her own damn rules. Own your power. It's more than a mantra. It's a lifestyle. It's waking up every day and choosing yourself, even when the world tries to convince you that you're too much, too loud, too bold, or not enough. It's not about arrogance, and it's definitely not about ego. It's about recognizing that everything you need is already within you. It's in your intuition, your resilience, your dreams, your scars, your laughter, your quiet strength, and even your broken pieces. Power isn't something you wait for someone to hand you. It's something you claim, without apology, without hesitation. There's a moment every woman reaches when she realizes she's done seeking validation from people who never deserved a seat at her table in the first place. That moment is golden. That moment is when the shift begins. You stop explaining yourself. You stop watering yourself down to be more palatable. You stop chasing people who only ever saw parts of you and never the whole. Because when you own your power, you understand that the right people won't be intimidated by your strength. they'll be inspired by it, and those who can't handle it, let them leave. That's their story, not yours. Power is quiet. It's the calm in the middle of the storm. It's holding your head high when everything around you is trying to drag you down. It's choosing grace over revenge, peace over chaos, purpose over pettiness. When you've been hurt, when someone's tried to diminish you, your power shows in how you rise, how you keep showing up for yourself. Not because you want to prove a point, but because you finally understand that you are the point. And you don't need to be anyone else to be powerful. You just need to be you, fully, freely, fiercely. Owning your power is also about making choices that honor you, walking away when staying would cost you your self-worth, saying no when yes would betray your boundaries, saying yes to yourself, to your growth, to your healing. Power is in the decisions you make when no one's watching. It's in the moments you say, "I won't shrink just to make you feel bigger." It's in the times you forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve to be free, to move forward without the weight of what someone else did. You can't control how people treat you, but you can absolutely control how you respond. And the most powerful response isn't to match their energy, it's to rise above it. Let them expect a breakdown, let them expect drama, and instead give them calm, give them confidence, give them indifference even. Nothing confuses someone more than seeing the person they thought they broke shining harder than ever. That's not revenge, that's evolution. You weren't made to beg for love or attention. You weren't made to prove your worth to people who only see your light when it benefits them. You were made to rise, to lead, to create, to build, to love, and to be loved fully. But it starts with how you treat yourself. Stop looking outward for confirmation of your power. Look in the mirror. It's there, in your eyes, in your stance, in your refusal to settle. You are the home you've been searching for. You are the safe space. You are the standard. No one can replicate you. No one can take what's meant for you. No one can truly dim you unless you hand them the switch. And I know, sometimes it feels easier to shrink, to hide, to silence yourself for the sake of keeping the peace. But real peace doesn't ask you to disappear. It asks you to show up, so show up. Show up even when you're scared. Show up even when you're hurting. Show up even when they didn't expect you to, because every time you do, you're reminding the world and yourself that your power is not up for negotiation. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to perform it. Just live it. Let it be seen in the way you carry yourself, the way you choose yourself, the way you rise after the fall. That's what it means to own your power. To walk through fire and come out glowing, not because you weren't burned, but because you refused to let the fire consume you. You used it to ignite your next level, and that is the kind of power no one can ever take from you. Unfollow the drama, not just in your feed, but in your life, in your mind, in your spirit. There comes a time when you realize that not every battle deserves your energy, not every insult needs a response, and not every person is meant to stay in your story. We live in a world where reactions are instant, where everyone's watching, where silence is often mistaken for weakness. But true power, true self-respect, that's in knowing when to disengage. It's in walking away, not because you're scared, but because peace has become your priority. That's the real flex. Drama thrives on attention. It feeds off your triggers, your anger, your need to be understood. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing your peace. You don't owe them access to your emotions, your energy, your time. They may try to pull you into chaos, to poke at your soft spots, to stir up reactions they can twist into narratives. But you're not here for that. You're not here to play a part in anyone else's circus. You're here to build, to grow, to heal, and to rise. And sometimes that means removing yourself entirely from the stage. Choosing not to engage doesn't mean you're passive. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've matured to a place where you understand that your energy is currency, and not everyone deserves a piece of it. It means you've learned the difference between protecting your peace and proving your point. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't move forward if you're constantly being dragged back into arguments, misunderstandings, and cycles that only leave you drained. Unfollowing the drama means drawing a line and saying, "This far, no further." There will be people who misunderstand your silence, who try to twist it into arrogance or fear. Let them. That misunderstanding is not your responsibility. You're not here to perform for an audience of people who thrive on conflict. You're here to live a life that feels good to you. Drama may have been a chapter, but it doesn't get to be the whole story. You get to decide what kind of story you're writing. And sometimes the most radical act of self-love is simply not participating. You see, drama creates noise, it clouds your clarity, it distracts you from your purpose. When you're caught up in reacting to every jab, every petty comment, every disappointment, you lose sight of the bigger picture. But when you remove yourself from the noise, you start to hear something else, your intuition, your own voice, the one that tells you what actually matters, the one that guides you toward healing instead of revenge, toward growth instead of grudges. And that voice gets louder when you stop feeding the chaos. It's not always easy. The temptation to clap back, to correct the story, to get the last word, it's real. Especially when someone hurts you, especially when you know you're being misrepresented. But here's the deal, the truth doesn't need defending. It just needs time, and the people who matter, they see it. They feel your energy. They watch how you move. They know the difference between noise and integrity. And your silence, that becomes a mirror. It forces others to sit with themselves, with their own behavior, with the fact that you didn't react the way they hoped you would. That's how you confuse them. That's how you rise. You start to notice that life is lighter without the constant pull of drama. Your mind is clearer. Your days feel more sacred. You laugh more. You focus more. You heal faster. And slowly, you realize that you don't miss the chaos. You miss the version of you who thought you needed it. The version of you who confused passion with toxicity, who mistook emotional roller coasters for real connection. But now you know better. You know that love should feel safe, not dramatic, that friendship should feel supportive, not competitive, that peace isn't boring, it's freedom. Unfollowing the drama isn't just a reaction. It's a lifestyle shift. It's a decision you make over and over again, in conversations, in relationships, in moments of conflict. You pause, you breathe, and you ask, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, you walk. You log off, you disengage, and that simple act done consistently changes everything. You stop being a character in other people's stories and start becoming the author of your own. You stop surviving the chaos and start creating your calm. That's how you protect your power. That's how you elevate. That's how you win, quietly, confidently, and on your own terms. Redefine your standards, not just in love, not just in relationships, but in every single area of your life. It's a powerful shift that begins within, a quiet decision that you are no longer available for less than what honors your worth. For too long, you may have settled, tolerated, adjusted, just to keep things going, just to make someone else feel comfortable. But there comes a moment where you realize the cost of dimming your light just to fit into someone else's shadow, and in that moment, everything changes. You stop accepting breadcrumbs and start demanding the full table. You stop explaining why your boundaries exist and simply stand by them. Redefining your standards means you finally stop negotiating with your non-negotiables. It means you become fiercely protective of your time, your energy, your heart, your peace. It means you say no even when it's uncomfortable, even when it might disappoint someone else, because you're no longer choosing comfort over self-respect. You've learned the hard way that what you tolerate is what you teach people to expect. And if you keep lowering the bar, you'll always find yourself trying to climb out of situations that don't reflect who you really are. It's not about being hard to please. It's about knowing you deserve more than being someone's maybe. You deserve consistent love, not occasional effort. You deserve friends who speak your name with pride, not shade. You deserve opportunities that stretch you, not ones that shrink you. And you have every right to raise the bar again and again, because as you grow, your standards should grow with you. There's no shame in outgrowing people, places, or patterns. That's not arrogance, that's evolution. People might call you difficult, Let them. They might say you're too picky, too ambitious, too demanding. That's fine, be all of it. Because the truth is, most of the world benefits when you doubt your power. When you make yourself small, when you second, guess what you deserve? It makes other people more comfortable. But that's not your job. Your job is not to be liked. Your job is to be aligned with your values, your purpose, and your truth. Raising your standards doesn't mean you think you're better than anyone. It means you've stopped pretending you're less. You've stopped settling for the bare minimum and started requiring the things that actually feed your soul. And yes, that might mean standing alone for a while. It might mean turning down offers, walking away from situations that almost feel right. Almost is not enough anymore. Close is not commitment. Potential is not proof. You're not in the business of fixing or convincing. You're in the business of aligning, of choosing, of becoming. The beautiful thing is, once you redefine your standards, the universe starts to respond differently. You begin to attract people and opportunities that meet you where you are, not where you used to be. You no longer have to chase. You no longer have to beg. What's meant for you flows with ease because your energy is clear. You're no longer sending mixed signals to the world about what you'll accept. You're living it, you're embodying it, and that energy, it's magnetic. This isn't about perfection. It's not about creating some unattainable checklist. It's about getting real with yourself about what matters, what feels good, what feels aligned. It's about being honest enough to say, I deserve more, and brave enough to act like it, to walk like it, to speak like it, to stop explaining why you expect respect and simply hold firm when it's missing, because standards aren't just spoken, they're lived, and when you live them consistently, unapologetically, the world can't help but take notice. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people. You're not too much. You're just finally too aware to pretend you're not. And no, not everyone will rise to meet you, but that's okay. The ones who do, they're the ones who belong in your next chapter. So keep raising the bar, keep choosing yourself, keep growing into the version of you that knows exactly what she's worth and refuses to accept anything less. Romance your own life, not as an afterthought, not as something you do once a month when you've finally earned a break, but as a daily practice, a mindset, a declaration. So often we're taught to wait. Wait for the right moment, wait for the right person, wait for someone to choose us, spoil us, sweep us off our feet. But what if you stopped waiting? What if you became the person you've been waiting for? What if, instead of hoping someone would make you feel special, you decided to become that source of love and magic for yourself? That's where everything begins to change. It starts with the smallest things. Lighting that candle you were saving for a special occasion, wearing your favorite perfume just because it's Tuesday, taking yourself out for coffee and sipping it slowly without rushing to your next task. It's how you make your space feel sacred, how you treat your body with care, how you talk to yourself in the quiet moments. Romancing your life doesn't mean extravagance. It means presence. It means noticing the way sunlight filters through your window in the morning. It means playing your favorite song and dancing in your room like no one's watching. It means choosing joy deliberately and unapologetically. When you begin to treat yourself the way you once hoped someone else would, you send a powerful message to the world. I am worthy, I am enough, and I am not waiting for love. I am love. It's not about giving up on relationships. It's about not needing one to validate your worth. It's knowing that whether you're single, healing, growing, or thriving in partnership, you are whole. You don't need to be completed. You just need to be celebrated. And the first person who should be doing that is you. Spoil yourself, not because you're trying to fill a void, but because you finally realize you're worthy of beautiful things. Invest in your peace. Protect your joy like it's gold. Create rituals that make you feel grounded, routines that make you feel empowered. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to feel beautiful for yourself, to dress up for no one but you, to write your dreams in a notebook and chase them with all the fierce, feminine energy you've got. You are allowed to love being alone because being alone doesn't mean being lonely. It means you're learning how to enjoy your own company, and that's one of the most powerful things a woman can do. When you romance your life, people notice. They feel the difference in your energy. They see the glow that doesn't come from anyone else's validation. It comes from self-respect, from self-care, from inner peace, and that kind of glow, it's magnetic. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't demand, it invites. You start setting a new standard, not just for how others treat you, but for how you treat yourself. And once you raise that standard, you no longer entertain anything or anyone that makes you feel like you're hard to love. You stop trying to prove your worth. You stop bending over backwards to be chosen. You stop over-explaining your feelings, your dreams, your decisions. Because when you've learned how to give yourself what you once begged for, you no longer accept the bare minimum. You know how to soothe your own wounds, how to hype yourself up, how to build your life in a way that feels expansive, not exhausting. Romancing your life is about falling in love with the journey, not just the destination. It's about appreciating the in-between, the healing phases, the quiet moments, the simple pleasures. It's about realizing that you don't have to wait for a picture-perfect life to start feeling good. You can find joy right now in this version of you, in this chapter, with all its flaws and beauty. You can choose to make this moment count, and when you start doing that, when you start treating your life like a love story, even in the absence of someone else's presence, something shifts. You become less focused on who hurt you, who didn't show up, who failed to love you right, because you've learned to show up for yourself in ways no one else ever could. You've become the love you used to look for. And that, more than anything, is what changes everything. Silence is seductive. It's powerful, elegant, and utterly confusing to anyone who expected chaos from you. When someone hurts you, the world expects a reaction. Tears, screaming, messages, explanations, proof of your pain. But silence is strength. It's restraint in a world obsessed with noise. It's choosing dignity when drama is easier. It's your way of saying, I'm done performing. Because silence doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise enough to understand that not everyone deserves access to your energy, your emotions, or your healing process. There's something disarming about a woman who doesn't react the way someone thought she would. Someone who, instead of fighting to prove a point, simply walks away with grace. That kind of composure that's unsettling to the person who expected to keep pulling your strings. That's confusing to someone who thought they had the power to keep you small. But silence, it speaks volumes. It's the echo of yourself, worth ringing louder than any insult they could throw at you. It's your unspoken reminder that you don't beg, you don't chase, and you damn sure don't settle. Silence isn't emptiness. It's focus. It's intention. It's sitting with yourself long enough to feel every crack, every ache, and still choose healing over revenge. Still choose peace over pettiness, because you know the power of protecting your space. You know the weight of giving someone access to your words, your thoughts, your heart, and you've learned that not everyone deserves that privilege. Silence is you taking back your narrative. It's you rewriting the script, not with loud declarations, but with quiet exits. It's walking away mid-scene and leaving them to wonder what happens next, and they will wonder. Silence leaves room for their imagination to fill in the blanks. It makes them question. Did she stop caring? Did she finally see through me? Is she done for good this time? It's that question mark that does more damage than 1,000 words ever could, because people don't expect silence. They expect you to react, to validate their behavior, to feed the fire. When you don't, they lose the control they thought they had, and that's the power of silence. It turns their game inside out. But silence isn't just for them, it's for you. It's your sanctuary, your reset. Your chance to breathe without the noise of other people's opinions and projections. It gives you space to feel your truth without outside influence. It's the pause you take before your comeback. It's the moment you sit still long enough to remember who the hell you are. In silence, you start to hear your own voice again. The one that says you're enough, you're healing, and you're not defined by the way someone treated you. That voice, that's your compass. That's your guide back to yourself. You don't need to post about your healing. You don't need to prove you've moved on. Let your silence be your statement. Let it be your evolution. The strongest women are not the loudest in the room. They're the ones who know when to speak, and when to save their words for the places that deserve them. There is something unshakable about a woman who protects her peace like it's sacred. Because it is, it's earned, it's built from every moment you chose not to react, not to retaliate, not to reduce yourself just to be heard. People will call it mystery, they'll call it arrogance, they'll call it indifference. Let them call it whatever they want. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to live in alignment with yourself, and that kind of self-respect, it's louder than any comeback you could deliver. It says, I've got better things to do than explain myself to someone who never listened in the first place. Silence isn't passive, it's intentional. It's where your power recalibrates, where your spirit refuels, where you remember your strength without needing an audience. And when you do speak again, every word will be rooted, calm, and unshakable, because you didn't react from pain, you responded from power. You didn't lose control, you chose it. And that silence, that restraint, that decision to rise quietly instead of fight loudly, that's what confuses them the most. They were ready for the noise, but you gave them silence. And in that silence, you became unforgettable. Level up in silence, not for applause, not for validation, not for revenge, but for you, for the woman you are becoming, for the peace you crave, for the strength you now realize was always inside you. There's something profoundly powerful about doing the work quietly, about healing, evolving, and rising with no need to announce every move, because growth isn't always glamorous. It's often messy, painful, slow. But when you level up in silence, you're not distracted by outside noise. You're deeply tuned into your own transformation. This isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about protecting what's sacred while it's still in progress. Some things grow best in the dark, like roots, like seeds, like resilience. Your journey doesn't need to be a spectacle. You don't need to post every breakthrough or prove your progress to people who once doubted you. You owe no one a front row seat to your comeback. Let them wonder, let them assume, let them fill in the blanks, because when you level up in silence, they don't see it coming, and that's the point. The real glow-up happens when you start making decisions from a place of self-worth instead of fear. When you stop explaining yourself to people who never tried to understand you, when you learn to move in alignment, not desperation, it's not just about external change, it's about internal alignment. You start eating better, not because you're chasing a body ideal, but because you respect your vessel. You start walking away from chaos, not because you're cold, but because you've finally learned how expensive peace really is. You read more, you rest more, you pour into yourself instead of pouring into people who only take. There's a shift that happens when you no longer seek revenge, but instead focus on reinvention. It's subtle but seismic. You stop competing, you stop comparing, you stop performing. Suddenly, your time becomes too valuable to spend explaining your boundaries. Your energy becomes too sacred to waste proving your worth, and your circle. It gets smaller, but it gets real. You find yourself drawn to depth, to stillness, to authenticity. Because when you level up in silence, you're no longer interested in appearances. You're rooted in substance. This kind of growth is lonely sometimes. Not everyone will clap for you. Not everyone will understand your detachment, your distance, your discipline. That's okay. They're not supposed to. Leveling up isn't a group activity. It's a solo mission, and in that solitude, you meet the strongest version of yourself. The version that no longer runs from pain but learns from it. The version that no longer breaks when disappointed but bends and bounces back. The version that doesn't need to prove she's moved on, because her absence, her glow, her peace say it all. You begin to realize that silence is strategy, that moving in secret protects your vision, that talking too much dilutes your power. So instead, you execute, you shift your habits, you change your environment, you elevate your standards, you choose discomfort in the short term to build the life you actually want in the long term. You stop entertaining things that drain you, and you start feeding what fuels you. Every day, brick by brick, without announcing it, without asking for approval, you build, and one day, without warning, the results speak for themselves. You walk differently, you speak with conviction. Your presence commands respect without saying a word. They'll wonder how you did it, when it happened, why you seemed so untouchable, and they won't know, because you didn't perform your healing for the world to see. You did it for yourself, silently, consistently, powerfully. That's the kind of level up that can't be faked, it can't be copied, because it's not built on spite, it's built on self. You didn't do it to prove anything to anyone else. You did it because you finally realized you're worth the time, the effort, the energy, that you don't need revenge when you're busy evolving, that you don't need recognition when your soul is at peace. Leveling up in silence isn't about being secretive, it's about being sovereign. You become the kind of woman who doesn't need to scream her worth. She lives it, she breathes it, she embodies it, and the world takes notice, not because you told them, but because they felt it. That's the power of silence, that's the power of growth, that's the power of a woman who chose herself and never looked back.